Mr. Chairman, thanks for holding this very important hearing and for your strong statement you just made with regard to what is happening on the streets of Iran today following the death of Masha Amini at the hands of the morality police. I look forward to talking more about that with our witnesses. According to global democracy indices, countries like Russia, China, Iran, Cuba, and others are exporting their authoritarian models of government to other countries and eroding democracies around the world. We've certainly seen this attempt in Ukraine. They're doing it to undermine these democratic countries and the freedoms that they find offensive, but also to strengthen their own countries. And as these authoritarian countries continue to oppress their citizens, it is often the women in those countries who suffer the greatest, as our witnesses will tell us today. It's evident we are at a critical point where democracies all around the world are being tested. And the United States has a duty to continue to lead, to ensure that those who are speaking out against authoritarian regimes know that we have their back. They have our support. Before us today, we have three brave women who have courageously stood up to speak out against the repressive regimes in their home countries. Many of them have done this at great risk to themselves, to their families, to their friends. It can be difficult for Americans to comprehend what you have gone through. In the United States, we often take our freedoms for granted. So the thought that someone would need to risk her life just to advocate for the basic rights that we enjoy here is a foreign concept to many of us. Our first witness is Rosa Maria Paya Acevedo. After her father's death in 2012, which was widely suspected to be the work of the Cuban government, Ms. Paya started Cuba Decide, a grassroots organization to promote true democracy in Cuba. With her organization, she has carried the torch of liberty from her father to advocate for real democratic reform in a country that has not known democracy in decades. Before us today, we also have Cehar Ilham, a Uyghur rights champion and passionate advocate against forced labor. In 2013, Ms. Ilham was forced to watch her father be arrested and taken away by Chinese authorities in front of her. He was then given a life sentence on trumped-up charges, and Ms. Ilham has dedicated her life since then to advocating for the rights of the Uyghur people. At just 28 years old, she testified before the UN General Assembly, has been published and quoted in numerous international media outlets, and in 2019, she delivered the keynote address at the Ministerial to Advance Religious Freedom. Finally, we have Roya Hakakian, an Iranian-American poet and strong advocate for the rights of the Iranian people. For 43 years, Iran has been under the oppressive rule of the mullahs, who have consistently obstructed and denied the people's basic rights, including freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and, of course, the right to choose their own leaders in a fair democratic process. Ms. Hakakian has been such an advocate for these rights, and she has even been targeted for it by the Iranian government operatives here in the United States. Again, I'd like to thank these brave witnesses for being willing to discuss the important work they're doing on this issue, and we look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.